the divine souls. I'm explaining to you in this series about the significance of Radha Krishna Bhakti in Kaliyug. And so far what I've covered is first of all about the aim of life. That is, it is the aim of every soul to attain God, because only God is perfect happiness. But the only way to attain God is by receiving His grace. No soul can attain God through his own effort. But in order to receive His grace, there is something we have to do. We have to surrender to Him. Otherwise, if there wasn't something we had to do, then you could say, well, God, why haven't you graced me yet? You grace and a soul becomes God realized, so grace me. But we have to do something to receive that grace. Any soul in the past who became 100% surrendered to God, they were immediately graced with God realization. God realization means you receive Swarup Shakti, it's God's personal power. It enters into your mind, what we call Antahakaran in Sanskrit. Then, due to the effect of that power, your Antahakaran becomes divine. So right now it's material, so we can only know and experience material things. But when we get a divine Antahakaran through God's grace, then we can see Him. We also get divine senses, so we can see Him, touch Him, smell Him, hear Him. With all of our senses in our mind, we can enjoy the divine bliss of God. So this means God realization. And this happens only through God's grace, which is received when a soul surrenders to Him. So, how do we become surrendered? I explained to you that the mind has to become surrendered. It's not a case of physical surrender or verbal surrender. The mind itself has to become surrendered. So, how do we surrender the mind? Surrendering the mind happens automatically wherever we believe we're going to receive happiness. Right now, up until now, in all of our lifetimes, we've been living with the firm faith that we're going to find happiness, but from this world. Everybody has a desire to find happiness, that's normal. But our desire to find happiness has been directed towards the world because we look at the world and we see there's some amount of pleasure in the world, and we really believe, I will find my perfect happiness here in this world. Thus, we are fully surrendered to the world. Well, you could say not fully, there's some doubt, because we've never been satisfied. Although we've enjoyed this world many times in many different ways, we've never been fully satisfied, so we're always looking for more. So there's some doubt that, well, where really should I be looking to find perfect happiness? But up until now, the main force of our faith has been directed towards the world. But we have to surrender to God. Because our faith has been in this world, we believe we will get happiness from this world. Through that process of thinking about the world in this way, which we do every day, many, many times, what it has done is it's built attachment in the world. So our mind is firmly and deeply attached in this world. Yet the same mind we're trying to surrender to God. When Uddhav ji came to the gopis, he was telling them, use your mind and meditate on formless God. Krishna had sent his friend Uddhav, who was a jnani. He was such an aspirant who meditated on the formless form of God, Nirakar Brahm. So Shri Krishna sent him to the gopis ostensibly to teach them. Meaning, he told Uddhav, go and teach the gopis how to join their mind with formless God. Then they won't miss me so much. But Krishna's actual reason for sending Uddhav there was so he could learn from the gopis. He went thinking he was the teacher, but in fact the gopis were already at a much higher level than him. So he realized that after some time, and he received teaching from them. So one of the things they said to him was, Udho man na bhaye das bis. Oh, Uddho, I don't have 10 or 20 minds. I don't have multiple minds. I have one mind. और वो ले गया. तुम्हारा दोस्त जो है वो ले गया मेरा मन. तो किस मन से मैं तुम्हारे निराकार ब्रह्म का ध्यान करूं? मन है नहीं मेरे पास. So my one mind that I had, Shri Krishna stole that away long ago, and now he's gone to Mathura. So my mind is not even in my possession. How am I going to meditate on your Nirakar Brahm? I only have one mind. So we have one mind, and our mind is already given to this world, surrendered to this world, attached in this world. So how are we going to surrender that mind to God? Because of this problem, we have to understand more about the nature of the world. So far, the talk of God is mostly theoretical for us. To some extent, or you can say to whatever extent a devotee has risen on the path of bhakti, he gets actual experience of God. So I can't say that we have no experience of God. We have some experience, but we haven't had the real, ultimate experience yet. That's God realization. When that happens, then Krishna never leaves you. Ek baar aa gaye to kabhu nahi jayenge. Kripaluji Maharaj writes in one of his kirtan that when Krishna comes to you, he comes that one time and he never goes away after that. So, we haven't had the ultimate realization of God, but to whatever extent we have risen on the path of devotion, we have some experience of Krishna's presence in our life. But most of it, you can say, our mind might be partially attached to Krishna, but the majority of our attachment is in the world. And hearing that God is perfect happiness, He is the perfect happiness that we desire from deep within. That makes sense to us intellectually, but since we can't immediately have that divine experience, we have to proceed in that direction and become qualified to receive that divine experience. So it's somewhat theoretical for us, but the world is sakshat. It's right here in front of us. We can enjoy it anytime we want, at least depending on whatever means we have to enjoy the world. The world is right here. We can taste it, smell it, touch it, see it, hear it. So it's like we get an immediate gratification from bringing our senses into this world. We get stimulus through our senses that excites our brain, and we feel some kind of pleasure from that. We call it pleasure, we call it happiness. Now, because that is so readily available, and the world is always right there in front of us, and God, for us right now, although He's omnipresent, He's unseen by us. So the world is a much more immediate attraction, and God is a more theoretical attraction, you can say. It means that in order to transfer that surrender of our mind, which is already in the world, towards God, we not only have to think over and over again that God is mine, Krishna is mine. He is true happiness. If I attain Him, I'll attain perfect happiness. We not only have to keep thinking that again and again and again to make that go deep into our mind, we also have to understand about this world, because the mind has been believing for so long that perfect happiness is in this world. It's not going to easily give up that belief. So how is it going to release that attachment so that it can attach its mind to God? So it has to do with attachment and detachment of the mind. Right now our mind is mostly detached from God and attached in the world. We need to start transferring that attachment from the world to God. There's a story that illustrates the true nature of detachment. Detachment is not only about physical renunciation. True detachment is mental renunciation. One time a king was overcome with a sense of renunciation from this world. He seated his son on the throne, left for the forest, went to an ashram, found a saint, and asked him, can you give me some guidance? I've left everything. Please tell me what to do. The saint said, come back to me when you've renounced everything. The king said, what do you mean? I just left my whole kingdom, my whole family, everything. He didn't say it out loud. He was thinking in his mind, what possibly could he mean? Then he realized, oh, I left in such a hurry. I'm still wearing my crown and my robes, royal robes. So he went, he changed out of that into something simple, and he came back to the saint and said, now I've left everything. Please instruct me, what should I do? The saint said, I told you, do not come back to me until you've left everything. The king was thinking, but what else can I give up? I mean, it will be embarrassing if I come before him without my clothes. But maybe that's what he means. So he discarded his clothes and came back before the saint. And the saint said more sternly this time, I told you to leave everything, then come back to me. You still haven't left everything. So the king, now he was in deep thought. He went off away from the ashram into the jungle, and he thought, he was kind of sad that what else do I have to give up? Only thing left I have to give up is this body. Okay, I'll fast until death. He sat down, not eating anything, not drinking anything. Now, all this time, the saint was watching him internally. He was watching his disciples' inner state. When the king became truly humble and detached from the world from inside, then the saint came to him. See, initially, the soul came to the saint. Now the saint is coming to that soul. And he said, he starts by saying, he found the king sitting there with his eyes closed, so he calls him. He says, O Vairagi, O one with no worldly attachments. The king didn't open his eyes. O Tyagi, O the one who has physically left everything in this world. The king still didn't open his eyes. And he says, O my Shishya, O my child, O my disciple. Then the king opened his eyes. You see, the thing the saint wanted him to renounce was his pride of having renounced everything. So it's not about physically renouncing, it's about the internal state of attachment. And even after having left everything, we should also not have the pride of having detached our mind from everything. That is true detachment. There's actually two sides to attachment. There's the positive side and the negative side. The positive side we call rag, and the negative side we call dvesh. Rag, you can say love, and dvesh, enmity or hatred, dislike for someone. Both are types of attachment though. And there are two divine examples that illustrate this. One on the positive side, the gopis. Chitta dekhun tit shama mayi hai. The gopis say, wherever I look, I see Krishna everywhere. Why? Because in their heart, they can only think of Krishna. Why? Attachment. They're so attached to Him. He's always in their mind, in their eyes. They see, wherever they look, they see Krishna. Through rag, they attach their mind to Krishna through positive attachment of the mind, through love. Kans had a similar state, but the opposite side of the coin. Kans was so afraid of being killed by Krishna that he was in constant fear. Oh, Krishna might be coming from that side. Oh, he might be coming from over there. Someone brings a thali with food for him to eat. He looks at the food in the thali and he sees Krishna and he throws the thali. He notices he's wearing a shawl. He sees Krishna in the shawl and he tears his shawl off. Everywhere he looked, he saw Shri Krishna. In other words, the same state the gopis were in, the same state Kans was in. The gopis through prem and Kans through bhai, through fear. But either way, yena kena prakarena manah krishne niveshayet. Rupa Goswami says, whatever way you attach your mind to Krishna, you'll attain Him. See, the gopis attained Krishna. What did Kans attain? He went to Krishna's divine abode also. After Krishna, quote unquote, killed him, he really just sent him to his divine abode. Why did Kans get to go to Krishna's divine abode? Because he also had his mind 100% attached to Krishna, even though it was the negative side of the coin, fear. Shishupal had so much dislike for Krishna, he couldn't stop thinking about him. You do that in the world, right? The one you love, you can't stop thinking about. The one you hate, you can't stop thinking about. It's two sides of the attachment coin, rag and dvesh. Both are forms of attachment, and the proof is that the one you dislike, you think about just as much as the one you like. So both are attachments. Whoever you love or hate, your heart actually melts for that person and they enter your heart. Sama jaate hain aapke hriday mein. Like wax. When you don't love or hate anyone, then the thing can't enter your heart. If you love someone, your heart melts for that person, just like you melt wax. Then into that melted wax, let some powdered color go and mix it in. Now you can't separate the wax from the color. The two became one. That's what happens when you love someone, your heart melts for them and they enter into your heart. When you hate someone, the very same thing happens. Your heart melts and they enter into your heart. They become a part of you, actually. So this is two sides of material attachment. It's the same thing with divine attachment. If you love God, your mind gets attached to Him. And Kans feared God so much, his mind got attached to him. Shishupal disliked Krishna so much, his mind also got attached to him. So no matter which way someone attaches their mind, they get the result of that thing. You see, we attach our mind in the world through rag and dvesh, thus we keep attaining this world. We keep being reborn in this world again and again. If you attach your mind to Shri Krishna, any which way, you will attain Him. So this is how attachment of the mind works. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavita. Gita. Shri Krishna explains it so clearly to Arjuna when he says, whatever you've been thinking of with emotion in your life, either with love or hate, you become attached to that thing, and that's the thing you're going to remember at the time you leave your body, and accordingly you'll be reborn. So whatever we dwell on with rag or dvesh, we become attached to that, and that is what we attain. And as I've been explaining to you, our attachment is currently, for the great majority, in this world. Thus, if we were to die right now, we would be reborn in this world. We would attain Maya yet again, not God. Some people think, oh, there must be some loophole, like if on my deathbed, I know I'm about to die, I can keep repeating Ram, 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 Sham, 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 Radhe, Govinda, so that at the time my last breath comes, God's name will be on my lips, so I'll get to go to the divine abode, like Ajamil. Don't you know that Ajamil didn't go at that exact time? He regained consciousness. Ajamil, who was an example of a fallen soul, who was a good person, who because of his worldly desires started doing many wrong things and ignoring all of his worldly duties, so he was held up as an example. Look at this Brahman, Ajamil, and look at how far he's fallen. But at the time that he was dying, he was calling for his son, whose name is Narayan. So he was calling, oh, Narayan, Narayan, and he lost consciousness and fell on the floor. So while he was unconscious, Yamdut, the servants of Yamraj, came for him, and they were saying, you know, this guy is such a sinner, we're taking him to Yamlok. He's going straight to Narak. But then Vishnu's servants came and said, no, 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 where do you think you're taking him? His last word was our Swami's name, Narayan. You can't have him. We're taking him to Vishnu's divine abode. So there was some discussion, and eventually Yamadut left, and Vishnudut took Ajamil. But then Ajamil regained consciousness. And this vision he had had while he was unconscious, it changed him. It made him realize the error of his ways. And he decided to go to Haridwar and sit on the bank of Gangaji and only do devotion to Krishna. And within 1 year, he fully purified his heart. He transferred all of his worldly attachments to Shri Krishna, and he became completely surrendered to him. So after that 1 year, then he received Shri Krishna's grace and became God realized. He left this earth planet and went to the divine abode. So you see, it was also a process for him. He didn't get a loophole. He wasn't free from doing the work of getting your mind attached to God and surrendered to God. So we also have no such loophole. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam. Shri Krishna says at the last minute, Antakale, as your soul is leaving your body, if you remember me at that time, you come to me. But what do we remember at that time? If we're not attached to God, we won't remember Him. Our mind is not consciously thinking anything at the time our soul leaves our body. Our conscious mind is not active, so it's our subconscious, in our deeper mind where our attachments are stored, just like when you dream. What do you think of? You're not consciously thinking of anything, you're subconsciously thinking. And where does your mind tend to go around? In the objects and people of your attachments. So just like that, at the time you're leaving your body, you're going to remember that which you're attached to. You're not going to remember Shri Krishna. So you won't go to Him, you'll be reborn in this world. Unless you succeed in fully attaching your mind to Him before you die, then you'll go to Him. So, there's no such loophole of just taking God's name at the last moment, because that last moment is only your last breath. It's your last word, your last moment of consciousness. So you lose consciousness, fine, you're still breathing. but you're in the process of dying. Okay, now you stop breathing, but your heart is still beating. Eventually your heart stops beating. Are you dead then? Medically, yes. Spiritually, no. Your soul still hasn't left your body. Shri Krishna says, when your soul leaves your body, antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram, when you're leaving your body, then you have to remember him. So, your consciousness was lost long before that. Thus, whatever attachment is there, that's what you're going to think of. So you see the importance of the attachment. Where are we attached? It has a great importance. Someone can't just think, oh, I'm going to put a tilak on my head. Means I'm a Vaishnava, so then Yamdut, when they come for me after I die, they'll see, oh, he has a tilak on? We can't take him. He's a Vaishnava. It doesn't work that way. It only depends on the attachment. Someone else thinks, oh, if you die in Kashi, you go straight to the divine abode, because Kashi is Shiva's divine city. Kabir Das said, he lived his whole life in Kashi. He said, I'm going to go outside of Kashi to die. These fools come to Kashi to die. They live their whole life with their mind attached in the world. They think just by coming at Kashi to the end, they're going to go to Bhagwan Ram. No, no such thing. Some people think that I'll do like Bhishma Pitama. He waited until Makar Sankranti to leave his body, because that's Uttarayanam, the beginning of the light half of the year. So people think, because in Gita it says, Yatra Kale, Shri Krishna uses the word Kal. Oh Arjun, now I will tell you, Kal here doesn't mean time. It means Kis Marg se. Kal here means by what path will you go? But people translate it literally as if Krishna is saying, now Arjuna, I'm going to tell you according to what time you die, where you'll go afterwards. Will you go to the divine abode of God, never to return under the bondage of Maya? Or will you remain under the bondage of Maya and be reborn in this world? I'll tell you, because it depends what Kal you go by. And he even uses the word Uttarayanam and Dakshinayanam. So the year is also divided into Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. The light 6 months and the dark 6 months. And Krishna uses this as a metaphor. He says, if you go by this light path, then you reach to God and you don't come back. And if you go by the path of darkness, you may go somewhere in Swarg, but eventually you come back here. So what is the path of light and the path of dark? The path of light is simply bhakti to God, getting your mind attached to God. And the path of darkness is everything else. Krishna even says that Dhan is the path of darkness. Vedic rituals are the path of darkness. Swadhyaya is the path of darkness. In other words, doing good actions are good. Gaining spiritual knowledge is good. Following religious formalities is a good action. However, done without attachment of the mind to God, it still results in your rebirth in this world. Only if your mind is attached to Him, you go to Him. So you see, there's no loophole. We have to get our mind attached to God one way or another. And in order for our mind to do this, it has to understand about the elusive nature of happiness in this world. Because our faith has to be changed. One side of it is understanding that the saints and scriptures tell us true happiness is only in God. Okay, but we still need to know, what about the happiness that I enjoy in this world? What is it like? What is it about? Why do I feel happy when I enjoy the pleasures of this world if the scriptures are telling me, no, that's not real happiness. Real happiness is in God. Okay, explain it to me. Why is it not real happiness? In fact, Vishnu Puran says, Tasmad dukhatmakam nasti naiva kinchit sukhatmakam. There is not even a tiny drop of dukh or sukh in this world. It seems a rather strange statement to us who undergo so much dukh and sukh every day. Dukh meaning suffering, sukh meaning pleasure. Our everyday is filled with many kinds of sukh and many kinds of dukh. Yet Vishnu Puran is saying there's not even a fraction of happiness in this world, nor is there a fraction of unhappiness anywhere in this whole world. There must be a reason behind it. Veda Vyasji has written it. He is Bhagwan ke avatar. There must be a logical reason behind it. And there is. Let's first look at the happiness side. What is the nature of the pleasure we enjoy in this world? Can it be called real happiness? Now, real happiness has been defined in the Vedas as having three qualities. So real happiness has to fulfill all three of these criteria. Number one, it should be of unlimited amount. Not a little bit, not a lot, not even a great amount, but unlimited, infinite. Real happiness would have to be that much in amount. Does the happiness of this world measure up even to this first criterion? No. That first criterion, that happiness should be unlimited. Think about it. When you enjoy something, what's your first thought after enjoying it? How can I get more of this? So if you can think of getting more of it, it means it's certainly not unlimited. If you had an infinite amount of that happiness, then how could you think of getting more? You couldn't. It would be impossible. You'd be totally drowned in enjoying that unlimited happiness. But because it's not unlimited, you can think, okay, I got this much. Could I get more? Yes, I could get more. I want to get more. If you get more, then what happens? You think of getting even more. If you get even more, then what happens? You think of getting more than that. Girir mahan girir abdhir mahan abdhir nabho mahat nabhasopi param brahma tato pyasha duratyaya. Veda Vyasji writes about worldly desire that it's even greater than God. Why? He explains that a mountain is great. Girir mahan. However, greater than the mountain is the ocean, because you can fit a whole mountain easily in the ocean. So the ocean is greater. But greater than the ocean is the sky, the endless sky. And of course, greater than the sky is God, because God keeps all of this endless universe within Him. So God is the greatest, right? No. Worldly desire is even greater than God. You know why? Because God can be attained, but a worldly desire can never be fulfilled to your satisfaction. It's never happened in the history. It will never happen. I challenge you to bring me here one person who has attained so much in this world that he's satisfied. He said, I don't need anything else. I have no more desires. No, every desire that we have and we fulfill it doesn't finish. It comes back again. Jas jas surasa badan badhava, tasu dugun kapirupa dikhava. Just like when Surasa tried to swallow Hanumanji, he made his body big, so big she couldn't swallow him, twice as big as her. So she also doubled the size of her mouth. Hanumanji doubled his size again and went on and on and on. This is what happens with our desires. We have a desire, it's of a certain limit. So to fulfill that desire, we need a certain amount of enjoyment. Let's say we get it. Is that desire finished? If it were satisfied, then it would be full, right? You fill it up, it's done. You can't fit anything more in. Okay, I'm satisfied. I feel whole and complete. No. It comes back with more greed. We call that greed. Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bhijayate. So from that desire, once you get the thing you wanted and you get to enjoy it, then lobh comes, the greed to enjoy even more. It's like pouring ghee on a fire, thinking the fire is going to go out. But what happens? Those of you who have done havan or yagya, you know when you put the ghee on, initially the flame, just for a moment, becomes quiet. Then what happens? It comes back much greater than it was before. It's the same thing when you enjoy something in this world. That desire gets like a momentary shanti, like, and then it comes back much bigger, twice as big as it was before. So then you think, oh, I really enjoyed having that moment of feeling like I was at least somewhat satisfied. I want to get that feeling again. But the problem is now, your desire has grown bigger. So now to get the same feeling, you need more of the same thing. So you work harder to get more. Again, you get that feeling of temporary relief. Oh, I satisfied my desire. Then it comes back again, even bigger. So where does it end? It never ends. This is why Vedavyasji says, although God is unlimited, but at least you can attain Him, right? There's a path of His attainment. There's no such path or process that exists that enables someone to fulfill their worldly desire. It goes on forever. You go on enjoying, your desires will go on multiplying. There was once a king who was a perfect example of this, King Yayati. He was cursed by Shukracharya, the Guruji of the Asuras, the demons, to lose his youth. Although Yayati had been married to Devyani recently and they were still young, in good health, they had their whole life in front of them. Now he'd been cursed to become extremely old so that his body couldn't allow him to enjoy anything more in this world. He fell at the feet of Shukracharya and asked him to take back the curse. He said, no, I can't take it back, but I can give you a loophole. You have 9 sons. If you can get one of them to agree to take your old age, you can have their youth. So he went to each of his sons, starting with the eldest, and they each turned him down until he got to the youngest, Puru. Puru said, Father, I'll be happy to serve you in this way. He said, Yayati said, but not forever. I'll take your youth and let me enjoy this world until I get my fill. Pet bhar jai. Then we'll trade back. I'll give you your youth back, I'll take my old age back and go to the jungle. So his son agreed. Now Yayati set about trying to fulfill his worldly desires to the point that he felt full, tripped. He tried for 1,000 years. This was not in Kaliyug. No one lives that long in Kaliyug. It was in a previous yug. In the previous yugas, people lived much longer. So for 1,000 years, he put his full effort into enjoying everything at his disposal. One morning he woke up next to his beautiful wife, Devyani, and he said to her, Yat prithivyam vrihiyavam hiranyam pashava striyah nalame kasya paryaptam tasmat trishnam parityajet. Bhagavatam. He said, through my experience, I've come to this firm belief that even if you were to give one person all the wealth, all the sensual enjoyments, all the possessions, all the friends in this entire Brahman, they would still want more. So if even that much isn't going to satisfy, then how much do we need? He said, this is not working. I'm no farther ahead now than I was 1,000 years ago. In fact, the only thing I've multiplied is my desires. I haven't multiplied my sense of happiness or contentment. That same sense that I don't have enough is there, like a hole inside we're trying to fill. I haven't succeeded even one iota in filling that inner lack, even though I've enjoyed the outer world again and again for so many years. So enough is enough. Puru, you take your youth back, I'm going to the forest. So we see that there's no such thing as enough in this world. The millionaire wants to become a billionaire. The billionaire wants to become a multi-billionaire. Even the one who has the most money in the whole world, he thinks Kuber, the god of wealth, he has more than me. Even in Swarg, they're not free from this jealousy that we have. Indro vanchati brahma padam. Even Indra, who you won't believe the pleasure of Indra's abode. You think, oh, Yayati must have enjoyed so much. He was the king of the whole earth, emperor of the whole earth. All of his subjects were favorable to him. He had his health, his youth. He was intelligent, well-mannered, generous, had a nice family. You know what Taittiriya Upanishad says? Saishanandasya mimansa bhavati yuva syat sadhu yuvadhyayakah ashishto dradhishto balishto tasyayam prithvi sarva vittasya purna syat sa eko manusha ananda. What I just described to you, what King Yayati had, that is described in Taittiriya Upanishad, that if someone could have all of that, they would get 1 unit of earthly pleasure, earthly anand. However, te ye shatam manusha anandah sa eko manushya gandharvana manandah. Multiply that happiness that Yayati would have had, which no one in this world has nowadays. There's no emperor of the entire earth planet. But think of what King Yayati had. That's only 1 unit of happiness. Multiply that by hundreds of times and you have the happiness of the lowest abode in Swarg. Manava Gandharva Lok. You can say the slums of the celestial abodes. Just like in a hotel, the higher you keep going, the more luxurious the suites become. The one on top, the penthouse, is the most sought after. Just like that in Swarg, there's 10 levels. So in each level, you keep multiplying by hundreds of times. Manava Gandharva Lok is hundreds of times greater than the happiness of this Lok. However, Deva Gandharva Lok is hundreds of times better than the happiness of Manava Gandharva Lok. Pitrilok, the next one, is hundreds of times better than that. Ajanaj Devalok is hundreds of times better than that. Karma Devalok is hundreds of times better than that. Nitya Devalok is hundreds of times better than that. And Indralok is hundreds of times better than that. But there's 3 more above Indra. There's Brihaspati Lok, hundreds of times greater. Prajapati Lok, hundreds of times greater. And Brahma Lok, hundreds of times greater. Brahma's abode. So Indra thinks, oh, I'm only in Indralok. Look above me, there's Brihaspati Lok, Prajapati Lok, and Satyalok, Brahma's abode. Oh, they have so much more enjoyment than I have. Yes, but according to the math I just told you, Indra has millions and millions of times more happiness than we have here, and he's still dissatisfied? Yes. He does just like you do. You look at your neighbor, first you got a new car, you're thinking, oh, finally I've been buying used cars my whole life. You went out and you bought a brand new Toyota Camry. You thought, oh, it's so good. I love my Toyota Camry. Then you see your neighbor comes home with a brand new BMW. The happiness of your Toyota Camry is gone because you saw something better. Indra does the same thing. He doesn't look at the millions and millions of times more enjoyment that he has and feels satisfied. No, he sees that Brahma has millions of times more the enjoyment than I have in my abode. Oh, I wish I had that. Surapatir Brahmam Padam Yachate. So if even Indra is not satisfied, never mind Indra. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartinorjuna Gita. Shri Krishna says, even up to Brahma's abode is all temporary happiness. Swargahu swalpa anta dukkhadai. Ramayan says, you could even call the enjoyment of Brahma's abode swalp. It means trivial, insignificant. Imagine billions of times greater than the enjoyments of this earth, and it's being called insignificant. Why? Because even when you're there, you still feel like it's not enough. You have to take the word of the scriptures for this. You think, oh no, probably it would be. If someone gave you a ticket right now, here, this ticket will get you to Brahma's abode. Want to go over there and enjoy? Say, oh yes, surely I'll be happy if I go over there. Let me go to Brahma's abode and enjoy. But the scriptures are telling us, no, you'll feel the exact same that you feel here. Just like when you got your new Camry, but then you got bored of it because you saw something better. Over there, you'll also get bored of it. It's still the same type of enjoyment. Just like you enjoy this world through your 5 senses, you enjoy over there in Swarg through your 5 senses. The enjoyments are more refined, that's all. Just like chewing on raw sugar cane, get some sweetness out of that, or you refine it into gur, chini, mishri. It's the same thing, right? It's not a different substance, it's just been further refined. So the pleasures of this world and the pleasures of Swarg are of the same type. They're not different. It's just more over there. That's all. So just like you can go on eating gur, if you like the taste of gur, okay, go on eating it. You can't eat enough to get satisfied though. You still feel like, okay, well, I can't eat any more gur because I'm sick and tired of that. Now I ate so much, but I'm still not satisfied. I need something else. Or do the same thing with chini. You'll still reach a point where you're sick of it and you still won't be satisfied by that point. The same thing happens in Swarg. It's the same kind of enjoyment, just more refined from what we get to enjoy here. So we see that this material world, it extends beyond our Mrityu Lok. It goes all the way through those 10 abodes of Swarg, but all of that is within the realm of Maya. So all Mayic enjoyment is of the same kind. It's all limited. So no matter where you go within Maya, all enjoyments will be limited, which means all material happiness fails that first criterion that true happiness must be unlimited. That's why we can't get enough, because our true desire is for unlimited happiness. So until we get unlimited happiness, we can't be satisfied. Of course, the other reason that we're not satisfied by the material happiness, even in Swarg, is because all of that happiness is material and our true self is divine. If we were this material body, then we could be satisfied by the material world. But since we're the divine soul, no amount of material pleasure can satisfy us. Because we're not looking for material pleasure, we're looking for divine pleasure, divine bliss. So it doesn't matter if it's the wrong thing, right? You're looking for divine happiness. That's what you want as a soul. And material pleasure is of a different kind. It's not unlimited, it's not everlasting, it's not divine. So whether you have a little bit of material pleasure and you try to enjoy that, no, it's wrong. You get the feeling, okay, I could call that enjoyment, but it's not enough. It's not the right thing. There has to be something else. So you get a little bit of the wrong thing, you feel it's the wrong thing. You get a lot of the wrong thing, still feel it's the wrong thing. So it doesn't matter whether you're a beggar or if you're Bill Gates, you feel, I don't have enough. So you understand the first criterion, that true happiness should be unlimited. The second criterion, true happiness should last forever. That's an obvious one. Who has ever found any happiness in this world that lasts forever? For one, the thing or the person who's giving you that pleasure won't live forever. Eventually, every object is destroyed or lost, and every meeting ends in separation, eventually. And even if you had the person, okay, let's say, no, I want to stay with the same person forever. I want to keep all of my possessions forever. Let's say that was possible. Then try to keep enjoying that same thing forever. Will you keep getting the same enjoyment from it? No. Take a simple example. You like rasgulla. Okay, eat rasgulla then. Start eating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many will you eat? Even if you can eat 100, eventually you reach your limit where eating rasgulla is not giving you happiness anymore. Everyone has a limit. It doesn't matter how petu they are. They have a limit. So when they reach that limit, that rasgulla isn't making them happy anymore, they stop eating. So you see, that same thing, even if you have an unlimited supply of rasgulla, it won't give you happiness forever. You reach a point where you had enough. It happens with visual things as well. Maybe you have a painting you really like. Okay, keep looking at the painting. Eventually you get bored. You can't keep looking at the same thing for a very long time. Even a person you love, keep looking at that person's face that you love more than anyone in this world. You can't live without them. But if I put a brace on your head so that you can't look away, and make you keep looking at that face of that person you can't live without, after an hour of staring at their face, you'll think if I have to look at their face for another minute, I'm going to die. We get bored, right? We get bored with everything. So this is the nature of worldly pleasures. They become boring to us and we need a break from it. Then we can come back after some time and enjoy it again. So it means that no matter how great the pleasure, it doesn't last forever. And even if we have a lot of that thing and we can supposedly keep enjoying it, it doesn't keep giving us the same level of enjoyment. So we see worldly happiness also fails the second condition. The first condition, it should be unlimited. It's not unlimited. The second condition, it should last forever. There's no worldly happiness that lasts forever. As you go on enjoying, it goes on decreasing. And eventually it ends. And the third criterion is that it should be ever increasing. Pratikshana vardhamanam. True happiness, the more you enjoy it, the better it gets. It goes on multiplying. No such thing in this world. We know the first bite is the best. Every bite after that gives you a successively less amount of happiness. The first bite is the best. If there's a song that you love, maybe there's a new Bollywood song out, something that you really liked the first time you heard. What if I just put it on repeat and you had to keep listening to the same song for 10 hours straight? That same song will not, it's not like your enjoyment in hearing the song is going to go on multiplying every time you hear it. No, it goes on decreasing until you get to the point where it becomes torture if I make you keep listening to that song. Imagine, the same song gave you so much happiness, the same song is like torture for you. This is the nature of worldly pleasure. Instead of increasing, it's ever decreasing. Like the moon after the full moon, what happens? It goes on decreasing until it disappears altogether. Like a river that's running to the ocean and everybody's taking water out of it for irrigation. Eventually, that broad river becomes a stream, becomes a little trickle, and disappears altogether. This is what happens with worldly enjoyment. So we see from this point of view, worldly happiness is not considered to be real happiness according to these conditions set forth by the Vedas. Now, there's more to understand about happiness. Why, even though Vedas telling us that's not real happiness you're getting from the world, then why do we find it pleasurable? That's one question we have to answer. And the other side of this is unhappiness. We all experience unhappiness in the world, yet our scriptures are telling us, no, there's no unhappiness in the world. So we'll continue to answer these questions in tomorrow's speech. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai.